Chapter 9. The exterior of the mayor's mansion dripped with pristine, manicured perfection. The estate, unlike the rest of the structures within the township, resembled an honest-to-goodness home, albeit a decadent plantation-style mega-home. Whitewashed fences and brick walls lay behind polished wrought iron gates. Nauseating, gaudy lavishness. Vant approached. A woman's voice greeted him from an intercom.
Name and reason for visit?
Vant Hu'l. I'm having dinner with the mayor. That sounds so official,
he thought. He sized up the premises and took note of the lack of security systems, save for the gate, which was more of a decoration than a preventative measure. Whoever lived here feared no one, and no one was around to fear them. The many thousands of Crashtown citizens knew something Vant did not, why he should stay the hell away.
We have been expecting you. Please come in.
The gates opened. Vant entered, walking underneath an immaculate arbor and through a magnificent garden filled with vibrant grass and lush landscaping. As he passed by one of the copious flower beds, he let his palm brush against a blossom to confirm a suspicion. It was as fake as the day was long. Every blade of grass, every rose petal, every tree, it was all manufactured. Vant noticed he had not seen one shred of greenery since the moment he had entered the township. Not that anything beautiful could even grow in the cesspool that was Crashtown. Vant's fingers clenched air, craving the comfort of his gauntlets. He had dropped them off, along with his mask, at a corporalbot before entering the grounds. He was coming in peace, and arriving armed would surely have sent the opposite message. His only consolation was that, before storing Death's mask, he had studied the mansion through its eyes in detail. Shrouded in the veil of blackness, Vant had observed many people inside the property, but none had pulsed red as the Thalium soldiers had in Land Escape. He hoped this was a good sign. Vant's robes brushed against each spotless step in his climb to the home's entrance. Impressive wooden doors glided open as he approached. He crossed the threshold into a circular foyer. Gleaming marble floors reflected candlelit sconces. Twin carpeted staircases, one to the left and one to the right, wrapped upward to a second tier, which featured only one closed door. Velvet curtains cascaded from the balcony to the floor. The door closed behind Vant and locked.
Welcome,
a voice spoke. The curtain parted slightly, revealing a woman adorned in a skin-tight bodysuit. Her face, save for her flawless eyes, was concealed in a bondage mask. Sheer satin flowed from the mask's hairline, creating the illusion of silky hair. Leather gloves crawled up her elbows, and high-heeled boots hugged her thighs.
Hi. Hello.
my name is Dawn Rear.
She curtsied.
I'm the house queen. My purpose is to maintain the elegance of this cherished home.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Vant.
Yes, Master Hu'l. I'm well aware of who you are. Your reputation precedes you.
Well, that sneaky bastard does get ahead of me sometimes.
The joke was met with silence. Dawn Rear continued.
Dinner is not quite ready. The lord of the manor will summon us when the time has come. Etiquette dictates that I extend to you our most generous hospitality while you wait. You shall be doted upon, as all guests are. May I first offer you some refreshment?
To Vant's left, the curtain slid partially open, revealing a wet bar stocked with multicolored bottles. Prominently displayed was a carafe of exquisite-looking red wine and one lonely glass begging to be filled.
Oh, that's a hell of a presentation,
Vant thought.
Hell of a trap.
He experienced the overwhelming sensation that the mansion was like dog crap covered with gallons of perfume. One could still smell shit somewhere underneath the lilac.
Kind offer, but drinking usually leads me to make bad decisions. More than the usual, I mean.
I see, Master Hu'l. Then perhaps you would delight in something sweet.
The curtain opened further, unveiling a table stacked with delicacies. Mouth-watering treats were meticulously arranged and exquisitely crafted.
And spoil my dinner. There's not a whole lot of room in here, after all.
Vant patted his non-existent belly.
It seems, Master Hu'l, that you are a man of extraordinary discipline. Yet in this house we believe in succumbing to our temptations and in satisfying our appetites, whatever forms they may take.
The curtain continued its path around the foyer. Vant choked on his surprise. Behind the velvet shroud were naked ladies. 20 of them, statuesque, elegant in a high-class hooker kind of way. They were immaculately groomed, and all stood with pageant-like, hand-on-hip posture. Each female was unique. There were blondes, redheads, greenies, pinkers, blueberries, brunettes, and every body shape and shade was accounted for. The women did not talk, and they did not acknowledge their new visitor. They simply remained upright, breathed, and stared straight ahead with one purpose: to be a feast for the eyes of their guest.
Are you certain there is nothing I may provide for you? Not even private quarters for a few hours, Master Hu'l?
Please, the formalities aren't necessary. Just call me Master.
He winked at the girls. A few of them giggled. Vant felt impressed with himself, but noticed he was acting showy.
Nothing like 20 lady parts, 20 derrieres, and 40 breasts to mess with a man's composure,
he thought. He addressed the courtesans.
You're all very lovely. Please don't take offense, but this wasn't exactly what I had in mind when I came here tonight.
My deepest apologies, Master Hu'l. Perhaps I misjudged your proclivities. Let me offer you something more to your preference.
The curtain completed its path around the foyer. Behind the last quadrant of concealed temptations were 20 naked men. Their chiseled, oiled-up bodies gleamed, and their oppressively large reproductive organs hung by their knees. They did full turns, in tandem, showing off the goods.
Now there is something you don't see every day.
He tapped his feet. He smiled at the men and the women. They all remained stationary. He was stalling. From the moment the door to the mansion sealed him inside, Vant knew he had become a pawn in some kind of voyeuristic charade. Now the game was clear. Hidden eyes were studying him, watching to see which allurement he would select and fall victim to.
Choose your pleasure, Master Hu'l.
He paced the foyer, taking it all in. Although his demeanor remained nonchalant, his adrenaline level had skyrocketed. His heart pumped blood behind his ears. His survival instincts kicked into gear. He tried to conceive an escape route, since the locked door behind him would not be an option. The chamber had no windows, and the only door on the second floor most likely led farther into the home's interior.
Master Hu'l?
The awkward silence had grown too palpable. He had to say something.
I don't want to impose. I think I'll just wait for the mayor. Maybe I'll have some wine and an orgy after dinner.
We stand on ceremony here. Your host will be greatly offended if you decline our generosity. I'm afraid we must insist.
From the upstairs balcony, a sconce slid downward. A mechanical arm extended from behind the compartment. Attached to it was a machine gun, with its sights trained on Vant.
You must choose, Master Hu'l.
Well, shit,
Vant said. He contemplated.
Poison wine's gonna stop my heart, and toxic food will melt my insides. The courtesans, of course, are in on the plot.
His mind spun, trying to deduce whether any of the choices offered a chance to walk away unscathed. They did not. He wasn't a mouse in a maze. He was a mouse in a mousetrap.
I'll have to wing it,
he thought.
The Vant special. So,
he clapped his hands together. A dozen of the courtesans jumped, startled.
What's your story, Donrear? Why don't you tell me about you, your turn-ons, turn-offs, that sort of thing?
I am the most coveted of the house girls. My beauty is to be preserved and made available only on extraordinarily special occasions.
Now that is tempting.
He pointed at her mask.
Can I peek under the hood?
I admire your bravado, Master Hu'l. Perhaps one day. For now, any other pleasure will be yours.
What can I say? I'm a guy who likes the best of everything. So if I can't have you, I guess I'll just have to take you.
Vant lunged. He grabbed Don Rier's satin hair from behind and yanked, sending her to the floor. She landed hard on her back. He pinned his boot under her chin.
Pawn takes queen.
Vant shouted to whoever was listening.
I got your girl. Let me out of here. I snap her neck.
He pressed down harder. Don Rier moaned. With ecstasy. The unmistakable twang of the mare rang out from speakers in the chamber.
Well, son, looks like you made up your mind. Dawn, my dear, think you can take care of our little buddy there?
With pleasure.
With incredible dexterity, Don Rier thrust her legs up like a contortionist and clamped them hard around Vant's waist. She whipped him face first into the marble, then vaulted up, twisted her body in midair, and stuck the landing with Vant's neck between her vice-like calves. Vant clawed at her boots. Don Rier giggled sadistically, tightening her grip on his throat.
Oh, Master, look at how helpless you are, how pathetic.
He reached up to grab her waist. She slapped his arm away.
No touching. You don't deserve me.
Vant thrashed, trying to free himself. His eyes bulged from his head. Sweat poured from his brow. His face turned red. He swatted at her, but she laughed at his futile attempts. Finally, a swing broke through her defenses and connected with her rear.
Naughty.
Don Rier removed a leather strap from the lining of her glove. She whipped Vant's ass over and over.
Naughty, naughty.
The guffaws of the mare boomed as she punished Vant's posterior. He focused on the timing of her swings. At the right moment, he caught her wrist on a downward swipe and pulled hard, wrenching her to the floor. He freed his head from her legs and crawled away as she acrobatically righted herself.
Come back here, Master. Come punish me. I was bad. I have to be disciplined.
Oh, get away from me, you nutty bitch!
Don Rier giggled and strutted toward Vant. She opened a slit on her mask, revealing a luscious mouth coated in lipstick. Trails of acidic steam rose from the gloss.
Does the little master want a kiss from Mommy?
Vant backed away from the cornucopia of naked women. They reached behind their backs and removed flesh-colored blades that matched their skin. The nearest girls took swipes at Vant. His dodge forward returned him to Don Rier's clutches. She dropped into a leg split, wrapped a calf around his shin, and collapsed him onto his back with a tug. A handcuff locked around his wrist.
Now you belong to me. Now who's the master?
Don Rier dragged Vant to the other side of the room.
What is with you? You're the worst. Oh, hell!
He rolled to the side to evade the brass knuckles of a male escort smashing into the floor. The rest prepared to strike, but Vant twisted his arm to put Don Rier in front of him as a shield. He kicked out with his legs. The blow inadvertently connected with her crotch.
Oh, crap. No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
She shrieked. The frenzied men took swings at Vant, each looking for a piece of the action.
Stop! He's mine. I need to teach my master a lesson.
She dangled a boot heel above Vant's face, showing off its razor-sharp interior edge. Like scissors, the heel snapped shut towards her toes. She demonstrated the castration device a few more times with glee, the blades opening and closing like hungry jaws. She stomped at Vant's nether region. He twisted to the side. Her heel landed behind his lower back. He then jerked her connected arm downward, crashing her to the floor. She was dazed, disoriented. Vant got to his feet. He curled his arms under her body and lifted her overhead with sloppy, brute strength. She flailed as he tore across the room, and he body slammed her into the table of food, demolishing it. Sweet treats rained down and melted into noxious pools beside them. Vant pinned Don Rier with his knee.
I got something you can kiss.
He pressed the handcuff to her mouth. Acid from her lipstick ate into the metal, and the binding split apart. He cocked his arm back and balled up his fist.
Well, I usually don't punch pretty things, but since I can't see your face and they say love is blind...
His downswing was interrupted. 2 tiny clips launched from the breasts of Don Rier's suit. They clamped into Vant's nipples, and an electric shock flowed into his body. He hollered from the concentrated pain inflicted onto the delicate region.
Don't you dare fake it.
Don Rier moaned with bliss. She rose to her feet.
I always know when someone's faking it.
Vant tried to pull off the pincers, but they were locked shut. He called out in misery.
Admit it. You love it. Now that you're all worked up, let's finish you off.
She grabbed the carafe of wine and straddled Vant, pouring its contents all over his mouth.
Taste my juice. Don't spit it out, swallow!
She pressed the bottle to his pursed lips and plugged his nose. Several forced gulps flowed down his throat. Vant immediately identified the chemical reaction in his belly. A heat in his innards transitioned to a sizzling acid reflux. Chemicals coursed through his veins. His heart slowed, then stopped.
Good little master, drinking all of Mommy's juice.
She slapped Vant on the cheek a few times. No movement. The clamps on Vant's nipples retracted back into Don Rier's bodysuit. She moved to the center of the foyer and took a well-mannered bow.
You just made me a wealthy man!
I do apologize for the mess. I'll summon the maids to remove this filthy thing from our home. I shall then come upstairs for some real punishment.
She wrapped her mane of synthetic hair around her neck and playfully choked herself. The crowd of courtesans laughed along with her. Stunned silence washed over the foyer.
Oh man. This is gonna be bad.
Vant rolled onto all fours, gagging. Wide eyes from Don Rier and her retinue. Disbelief. Vant shoved his finger down his throat and sprayed red, liquidy vomit all over the white marble floor. A cacophony of gasps came from everyone watching.
Hold on a second.
Vant rose to his feet and pounded on his chest.
Ha!
One hand was not enough. He intertwined his fingers and used both to beat against his heart as hard as he could. After the 5th thud,
Oh, there it goes.
he felt his organ lurch back to life and regain a steady pulse. No one made a sound. The mansion's residents gawked at Vant like he was a witch. He picked up the empty wine bottle and studied it.
Oh, wow. That must have been a crummy year for this vintage. And they say it's to die for.
He smashed the bottle on the ground. Shards of crystal flew everywhere.
What the hell are you?
The mayor asked from the speakers.
Well, you're about to find out.
Not likely. It's a game over for you, son.
He gave an order.
Lock her down!
Deadbolts slid across the front door. The courtesans panicked and scattered. Some sprinted upstairs, while a handful stayed down below and attempted to pry apart the front door's locks.
Relax. I only want to talk.
The machine gun rattled with the loading of ammunition.
Don't do this.
The gun pivoted to lock onto Vant, but Don Rier was blocking its line of sight.
Move!
Vant called out to her. Too late. The gun lit up. Ballistic rounds tore into her. She shrieked with dread. Vant pulled her across the floor and shoved her under the bar. He dove underneath next to her. The machine gun fired with reckless abandon, pinning them down. Bullets chipped away at the marble flooring. Strays shattered the glass bottles. Shrapnel and smoke multiplied by the moment. Don Rier choked on her own blood.
Damn it! Why didn't you just listen to me?
Because you didn't say please.
She stroked his cheek.
You should have treated me like a lady. Bad little master.
She slapped his face, then went limp. The sounds of artillery and the cries of courtesans filled the foyer. 2 of the girls sprinted for the upstairs door. The weapon that had been trained on Vant confused their motions for his. Bullets cut through their bare skin, and fireworks of gore erupted from the perforations. The distracted gun flung bullets around the chamber, trying to pick off Vant amid the commotion. A vulnerable courtesan was struck in the stomach. She screeched, and her wound emptied thick plasma all over the floor. Another escort tried to usher her away, catching the attention of the weapon. In a blink, he too was shredded. Vant seized the opportunity and hauled ass toward the gun. He was halfway up the stairs when it turned on him. A shot grazed his shoulder. Another scraped his ribcage. He leapt onto the armament and pulled at its bracings, rocking it back and forth while it fired spastically. It finally dislodged from the mounting hardware. Dangling limp from bent metal and loose wires, the malfunctioning armament threw bullet after bullet into the floor. Vant caught his breath. He assessed his wounds. They stung like hell, but he would live. The chamber was secure, but across the room and down the stairs, the decorative arches shook. Something large stirred. The foyer rumbled.
This can't be good.
Vant thought. The entire eastern wall slid upward. Vant rubbed his eyes, attempting to clear out the disbelief. This was no illusion. The panel was a facade, camouflaging a storage compartment. Inside, a peacekeeper roared to life.
Easy, easy, big fella.
Vant said to the mechanical biped coming online.
All right, let's take this down about 10 notches.
The machine responded by careening up the stairs. Vant pivoted the barrel of the dangling gun toward the peacekeeper, shooting it in the face a few times. The bullets ricocheted off its viewport, and the beast kept coming. Vant dashed aside as a massive fist crashed into the floor. He needed distance. This thing could flatten him in one move. He hopped over the banister and dropped down to the first level. He heard a bone crack as he landed.
Who needs a pinky toe anyway?
He plastered himself against the edge of the stairwell, out of sight. The peacekeeper paced upstairs in search of Vant, who was busy strategizing his next move downstairs. The situation was grim. He longed for his whip gauntlets.
Son of a bitch. Skii!
Vant whisper-yelled into his wrist communicator.
Come on, Skii, where are you?
No response.
Skii!
He imagined her as a human caterpillar, bundled up in her bed.
God, I hate you right now.
The metal beast roared in protest at having lost its target. Vant experienced a pang of guilt, back into his comm.
Okay, fine, I don't hate you, but I'm probably gonna get squashed because of you and I hope you can live with that.
The walking tank thundered down the stairs past Vant, who, in a moment of misguided inspiration, vaulted onto its back. He held on while it bucked. The kinetic movement knocked him onto the viewport. Vant reached into a crevice beneath the windshield and yanked hard on a thin rubber device. The piece broke off.
Oh, you are screwed now!
The machine stopped, gathered its wits, then swatted overhead. A bolt on its finger snagged Vant's cloak. It whipped its arm forward. Vant flew across the room and smashed into the wall. Bony snaps indicated a dislocated shoulder and a cracked rib. Vant attempted to get to his feet and slipped. He had landed in a pool of blood seeping from the mangled body of a destroyed escort.
That's disgusting.
How exactly does removing my windshield wiper make me screwed, son?
Here's how.
Vant reached into the puddle and withdrew a gushing arm. He chucked it at the metal beast. It splattered across the viewport.
Hey!
The mare shouted as he flailed, partially blinded. Vant lobbed a leg, which created additional carnage. He then picked up the torso and ran at the beast, heaving the leaking cadaver at its head. The peacekeeper scraped its fingers across the sticky, brownish-purple slop on the viewport. The resulting gluey streaks only made things worse.
Not fair! Not fair! You cheated, boy!
An access panel slid open, revealing the machine's shoulder-mounted Gatling gun. It blind-fired, but Vant had already gone under the automaton and hidden behind it. Vant's fingers trembled, but not from fear. He was straight-up pissed. He had a distaste for unnecessary bloodshed. He was an expert on the subject, and the chaos the mayor and his peacekeeper cronies had created lit a burning rage inside of him.
I'm coming for you, Mayor. I was trying to save your lives, but you had to go and pick a fight, which is, well, that's the wrong move.
I ain't worried. No way out, little man. All the doors are locked.
Vant climbed the stairs and moved to the limp security gun. He pointed it at the door leading further into the home and let the bullets chip away at the frame. The deadbolts buckled, lumber splintered, a sizable hole formed. He heard the mayor's flustered voice.
He's doing what? Well, shut her down, damn it! Turn off the gun!
But Vant had already darted through the gap and into the next room. There was a chorus of squeals from the courtesans who had taken refuge inside. They scattered away from Vant as he limped down the hallway. A peek behind the scenes revealed that while the entry hall was decorated as a lavish estate, once inside the home's guts, it turned into a series of basic rooms. Vant peered into each one as he passed. Closet, storage, bathroom. He paused at the kitchen. It reeked of clashing spices and was stocked with dangling carcasses of bizarre animals. A handful of cooks preparing some sort of striped horse looked stunned to see the stranger in their midst.
Chefs! Hey! Take me to your leader.
They freaked and ran for the exit. Vant grabbed one worker by the apron before he could get free.
You! Where's the mayor?
The cook whimpered.
Down at the end of the hall. In the game room. They never leave there.
He let go of the man.
What's for dinner anyway? What are you cooking?
For dinner? Flash fried zebra wrapped in toucan bacon. Served on a bed of garlic pigtails with creamy chocolate mustard sauce.
Oh, that is my 238th favorite meal of all time.
He removed a double-sized meat cleaver from the skull of a sautéing lion's head.
Hey, do yourself a favor and clear out. Things are about to get messy.
The man scampered off. Vant held the blade up to a camera he spotted in the corner.
Guess what time it is, huh? Can somebody ring a bell? 'Cause it's dinner time. That's right. And it looks like the mayor's on the menu tonight.
From an overhead loudspeaker,
Hardy. Keep on making jokes, son. See where it leads you.
Vant caught up to several women piling into a room to hide. He kicked the door open, revealing a lounge filled with beds, couches, furnishings, and a dozen more escorts. They gasped at the sight of the blood-soaked boogeyman brandishing a cleaver.
All right, don't be afraid. You're free. You're free, whores. Go!
Vant made a grand gesture to usher them out of the room. They stared at him, unimpressed.
You're free. I set you free. You can go.
He repeated,
We know that.
said one of the girls. Another added,
What do you think, we're slaves? They pay us to be here.
Oh. So, you're okay then, just to clarify.
Yeah, it's decent money.
one of the gigolos said. The others nodded in agreement.
Okay, but your bosses, they just killed a whole bunch of you.
Sucks to be them.
A skinny little blonde said between puffs from an elaborate smoking device.
Glad it wasn't my shift.
Vance scratched his sideburn.
Well then, I guess I'll just go?
Whatever tickles your pickle.
Vance slinked down the final corridor. He approached the last room at the end of the hall. Not surprisingly, it was locked. He pounded on the door.
Open up!
No.
A voice answered from inside.
Why not?
Because you're going to kill us?
That's crazy! Alright, why in the world would I? Alright, you know what? You got me. That's fine. I am gonna kill you. I didn't want to, but you started this. Now I pretty much have to kill you.
You started it. You were going to kill us first.
What? How? Why on earth would you think that?
That's why anyone comes to the mansion?
It's not awful logic.
Vant thought.
I wasn't gonna kill you. I came here to warn you of something.
Sure.
You have to open the door sometime, and if you don't, you're just gonna starve to death.
We have reinforcements on the way. You can wait there as long as you like. It works for us.
Then I'll blow up the whole damn mansion.
And kill all of these perfectly good prostitutes? Could you live with that?
Vant could not deal with the insanity of the conversation.
Screw this. I'm getting an axe.
He searched room to room. Nothing. Time was wasting. Dozens of metal enforcers were likely stomping through Crashtown on the way to the mansion. He went down to the basement, keeping his eyes peeled for anything he could use to break down the door. But he found something more interesting. the corpocell power grid. It seemed like a good idea to pull the plug, figuring the outage might cut off communications to the reinforcements. He switched off the first module. Several electronic hums and the temperature regulation went mute. He flipped another switch and the lights went out. He placed his hand on the last switch.
Stop!
The mayor said over the intercom. Vant shouted up the stairs.
Why?
Don't flip that switch. You can't.
All right, give me one good reason.
Just don't, son.
Are you gonna let me in to have a chat with you? Because that's all I want, just to have a chat.
Yes, sir. Agreed. We got ourselves a truce. Okay? Come on up. Just don't flip the switch.
All right, I'm coming up, no tricks. Any more surprises and you may ruin my perfectly chipper mood.
Vant returned upstairs. The sealed door rattled, followed by the satisfying sound of a deadbolt unlatching. Then another. Then another. Vant squeezed the handle of his knife. The door creaked open. The rancid smell of sweat, ass, and festering food hit him in the face before the visuals did. The circular suite was dark. Every lamp was off, including those on the chandelier dangling from the ceiling. The centerpiece of the chamber, a spherical table, overflowed with food stacked 10 feet high. Various animal appendages were drenched with sauces, and sloppy pastries as big as watermelons cascaded from serving trays. Casks of bubbling beverages overflowed onto the carpet, and containers brimming with fist-sized candies drowned in dustings of sugar. Spaced evenly around the room were 12 elaborate devices resembling cockpits. Control panels, joysticks, and hundreds of buttons adorned their framework. Holographic visuals, each showing a different view of Crashtown, beamed above each helm. They bathed the chamber in flickering strobes of light. Then, there were the pilots, the people sitting in the cockpits. 12 revolting sacks of goo studied their new guest. Their heads blended into their necks, and their necks cascaded into rolls of fat. Stubby limbs protruded from their flab, which poured over the edges of their seats. They were nude, covered only with sweat, stink, and morsels of whatever they had recently ingested or excreted. Their loose skin jiggled as they shivered with trepidation. These were the peacekeepers. Without their remotely controlled robots, they were rendered impotent. Vant would have certainly caught them with their pants down, but they were not wearing any to begin with. The naked servants attending to the peacekeepers froze at the sight of Vant. He had interrupted the human maintenance tasks which they were currently engaged in. Some held wet cloths for sponge baths. Others plates of food so heavy they could barely be lifted. Some cleaned the troughs underneath the seats of each cockpit. And some were in the midst of massaging the peacekeepers' body parts, using their own body parts to do so. Vant's boots squished as he left blotchy red footprints across the carpet. He paced the circumference of the ballroom, eyeballing the drivers and their holographic displays. He noticed separate readouts on each cockpit, showing numerical counters next to corpo capsule icons. The peacekeepers were keeping track of their loot. Most values were in the hundreds of thousands, but one was in the millions. Vant paused at the man who was most certainly the leader. He wore a ratty 10-gallon hat atop his doughy head.
Pleasure, son.
He tipped the brim and smiled through rolls of saggy skin. Vant raised an eyebrow.
I'm sorry about that misunderstanding. We get a whole heap of trouble around these parts, but hey, water under the bridge. Let's make nice, shall we? May I offer you some,
No, thank you. I'm not hungry.
Welcome to the game room. Command center of the peacekeepers. This is where all the magic happens. You know, where we keep our eyes on things and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Something to drink, friend? Got some wine or, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic idea. I'll have some more of your poison wine.
About that, how did you do it? I mean, we're dying to know. One drop would have put Knox down.
Well, it turns out I have a very strong constitution, which is the same thing that's helping me tolerate your stench.
We don't take kindly to insults.
Vant blew hot breath onto his blade and polished it against one of the few clean spots on his cloak.
Point taken, son. Point taken.
So what am I missing? I mean, you gotta help me out here, because I want to stick a knife into every last one of you for what you've done, for what you're doing, but this little obnoxious voice in my head keeps saying, hold on, Vant, hold on. There has to be a reason for all this, so why don't you tell me that, Mayor? Why don't you tell me why the twisted hookers, huh? Why the poison, why the guns, and the psycho dominatrix and the giant robots? Why don't you tell me why?
Ain't it obvious? Wagering, son. Wagering. Sometimes folks show up at the mansion always to rob us or get greedy with our concubines, and here you come into Crash Town. You strut on in, digging it out with the hobos, putting up a hell of a fight. We knew we had a pony to bet on. Fun part is, which way you gonna go out? I have my money undone. Shit, I almost had you there. And Chuckles reckon you take the bait and put your pipe in a puss. Our gals ain't no slouches. They would carve you up good. Hoss ought to be the grub, and old Rosie there bet on the wine. Hell, there's a dozen ways to get your bucket kicked inside this house. Funny enough, this time ain't none of us collecting. No one put money on you living. I'm sorry, sport.
Vant kept fixated on the mayor, unamused by his jaunty demeanor.
Well, we gotta get back to patrolling the city, so if you got something to say, now's the time.
Vant looked down at his blood-stained hand. It clutched the meat cleaver so tight that his circulation had cut off. Every last drop of willpower within him swam against the tidal wave of justification, demanding he slice the necks of each worthless spud in the room. Instead, he spoke.
Something is coming to Crash Town. All right, something horrible. An army.
The fetid eyes of the peacekeepers ran all over him. It gave him the creeps.
Headed here now?
They could arrive today, yeah. Could be a week from now, could be 10 years, but rest assured, they are coming. Unless we stop them.
Ah, well, then you and that cute little gal of yours have quite the job ahead of you. Good luck, my boy. Go get 'em.
I need your help, Mayor.
12 sarcastic chuckles from 12 repulsive flesh sacks. Vant reasoned.
But the sex, the food, and the wealth, that's all gonna end. The evil is coming to steal you away and strip you of all your pleasures. This whole way of life is gonna be reduced to nothing. Do you understand that? Am I getting through to you?
Son, there's something you should know about us and this here town we protect.
What?
All of it. It don't mean squat.
Vant blinked in disbelief.
Welcome to Crash Town, where you come to crash. Life's tough, kid, real tough. You got your pressures, you got your worries, you got your responsibilities. You live, you fart, you die. That's a shit life, son, a shit life. Us folks, we got a better idea. We got 4 things on our minds: fucking, fighting, fun, and fuck it.
Oh, man. You're not hearing me, Mayor. They're coming to end your lives.
Our lives ended the second we stepped foot in this here town. We came to die, kid, to get out in the last hurrah, to give the old middle finger to the old creator and show him that he screwed the pooch. This world ain't worth my pooping pot. We ain't gonna stand for it. We're gonna piss all over his masterpiece, and however the hell we die, well, shit, that'll be fine with us. We figure may as well jerk around on the way to the finish line. We got one purpose here, son: to shove as many things in and to shoot as many things out of our holes as possible.
Tornadoes of judgment circled inside Vant's head. 2 sides loosed their artillery in a battle within his brain.
Wait. Through desk mass, the peacekeepers look normal. The Thalium soldiers in Land Escape pulsed red, but these sons of bitches do not. Death has not marked them for elimination. There's something I'm not seeing here.
Vant was rattled, livid, and seeing red, but only angry at one person. himself. He put the edge of his knife to the mare's throat.
So if what you're telling me is true and none of this matters, then, well, I could kill you right now. You wouldn't give a shit.
Son, if you kill me, I'll only have one regret.
Which is?
Well, if I'd have woke up just a little earlier this morning, I could have gotten in one last pull of the pecker.
Vant shook his head.
There's more to it, you know, than sex and money.
Prove it, kid.
In a moment of clarity, Vant realized his judgment of them mirrored theirs of him. He perceived them as pathetic for not wanting to save their town, and they thought of him as pathetic for giving a damn. Vant dropped the knife. The peacekeepers sighed with relief.
Hey, Mayor, you do me a favor?
Name it, son.
Don't kill me on the way out the door. I could go for one last pull in the pecker myself.
Touché. Obliged, kid. You sparing us, we'll spare you.
Oh yeah, one more thing. You ever heard of a man named Geist Flyer? I'm looking for him.
Does he have a vagina?
No.
Why the heck would I know him?
Vant took one of the least offensive-looking pastries from the table and said,
I'll see you around, Mayor.
Good luck, son. Have some fun, see the sights, spend some money.
Vant closed the door behind him. He walked down the hallway, past the hooker's lounge, and back into the lobby. The foyer looked like a bomb had gone off. It was wrecked with artillery shells, smoke, debris, and blood. Vant cautiously eyed the blind peacekeeper, which remained motionless. He stepped over Dawn Rier's corpse, pausing to ponder what beauty lay underneath her mask. It did not matter now. It was destroyed. Gone, due to the itchy trigger finger of a greedy slab of man who viewed life as some sort of game. Vant took a bite of the pastry. The sweetness overpowered his taste buds. He spat it out in disgust. Then he had a thought. He went back, through the hallway, down the stairs, into the basement, and up to the power grid.
I can't kill him,
he said to himself.
So fuck him.
He switched off the power. After relishing in the stunned silence, followed by the infantile tantrums of the cretins in the game room, Vant desperately craved perspective. He left the grounds and limped through the dingy streets of Crashtown. Passing a peacekeeper sprawled out on the ground, deactivated from the power cut, he paused at a corpo bot.
I need my things.
The bot chirped and blasted off into the sky. Minutes later, it returned, docked, and opened a compartment containing his satchel. After collecting his trappings, he located the tallest building in town, entered, found the fire escape, and climbed to the roof. The city looked ill. A brown haze clung to the air as the artificial sun rose in the schizophrenic sky. He observed the townspeople wandering back and forth, off to some nonsensical fetish fulfillment or vice of the week. It all seemed so meaningless, as did his attempt to save the place.
So what if these people are being used for cattle?
Vant thought.
At least they have a purpose.
He ran his hands across his hair, which was growing fast. It reminded him of the ticking clock behind his mission. How much time was left before Death's patience would run out? Before his curse would return? Or before the citizens of Land Escape would be lost forever? He removed Death's mask from his satchel and rolled the mysterious item around his fingers. The cold material felt refreshing on his fingertips. He looked into the empty eye sockets and spoke to the face.
Life's a bitch, huh?
He held the mask up to his head. It latched onto his skin. The world transformed. He watched the vibrations and trails of the townspeople as they moved from place to place, yet nothing flashed red, even when he glanced back toward the mayor's mansion. He double-checked, then triple-checked, to ensure he was not missing anything.
Peacekeepers may be bastards,
Vant thought.
but for whatever reason, they're not drawing Death's attention.
He started to remove the mask, but something caught his eye.
What the hell?
In the farthest reaches of his vision, he spied a phenomenon, an anomaly so insignificant, He could not tell if it was real or if his transformed eyes were playing tricks on him. He strained to see what he thought he saw. Nothing. But he could have sworn. There it was. The tiniest glint of green flickered from within the depths of the city, almost imperceptible. Much like how the townspeople glowed white and the invaders of Land Escape had pulsed red, someone in Crashtown was sparkling emerald. As quickly as the twinkle had appeared, it evaporated.
Looks like there's something worth seeing in this damn town after all.
Vant thought.